Millions are dead.
Right. I don't know. Warframe bad played Final Fantasy.
Even though you
and
said
Star
that
Citizen.
you said you weren't even into it though.
No. Like for me, I don't know. Final Fantasy, just the pacing's really off for me. Like if you were to go through all the content, which there's a lot of, I hate fetch quests, and on top of that, I'm not a big fan of Eastern RPGs as it is. I'm not a weeb, and I don't know. I find it a bit over the top, and especially it's the voice acting, man. Like why is there like random voice acting in certain sections, but then in the important stuff, it's just not there. Kind of devalued the whole game for me.
Probably because
But the fetch quests were just brutal.
Budget problems, I guess. I don't fucking know. Because I think Guild Wars 2 was the only MMO I've played where literally everything was voice acted, even like the fucking side quests.
It's the same with Knights of the Old Republic, or the Old Republic, sorry, the MMO.
I never played that. What was that like?
The content's actually decent. The community, however, is so toxic.
How so?
The PvP in it is the ranked PvP is 4v4, and that has its own little cult where you queue up, and the only people that queue in it are the people that are really sweaty on it, and they all know each other and will actively just destroy anyone that goes in there. They're just watching for someone to go in there. It's that kind of environment. And then you have casual PvP, which is like objective based, like go and capture this point and defend it against the other team or whatever. But the issue is you have the DPS chasers, the passers. All they want to do is have high pass DPS throughout the entire map, so that they're high on the leaderboards at the end. They don't care about objectives. So like you'll have like 3 players that are quite new to the game come in, try and objectively win, whereas like the other people on the team aren't going to the objectives. They don't care about them. All they want to do is get a high pass of DPS. So they're just in the middle of the map trying to shoot loads of stuff. It kind of devalues the experience for both players. Do you know what I mean? Because half of your team is trying to do one thing and the other half of the team is trying to do another. It's not organized, and they're just yelling at each other in chat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Final Fantasy kind of has a similar thing where they did say in the code of conduct for the game that using a third-party program to check your DPS for parsing, it's technically against it, which I guess it makes fine on paper.
Really?
Yeah. On paper, they're against parsing with like third-party programs and shit because they don't have anything in game that exactly tells you how much DPS you're doing. Which I guess,
okay,
yeah, I guess it's fine. Whatever, be against parsing. But when they design trials and dungeons that literally have DPS checks and you don't know how much you're doing, that just seems a little bit counterintuitive.
I do need to get into doing some. I want to experience the raids in Final Fantasy 14. I really
They're
do.
so
I've done some of
good.
the bigger dungeons, but like, yeah, nothing too extravagant.
Have you seen the crossover one they did with Nier Automata?
I have seen screenshots of it. My friend sent me them, who got me into the game.
My God.
But no, I haven't.
The music is so good. It's like the only reason why I replay it, just for the music.
Honestly, like, I haven't been excited for like. Is there any new MMOs that are coming out that have wowed you in terms of?
No, because
anything that's coming out.
every single thing they announce it as like, oh, this is the WoW killer, and it's never the WoW killer. No.
That's a game I never played. Is World of Warcraft. When that game first came out, I was playing Star Wars Galaxies online. I don't know if you ever heard of that game.
I have. It died out. I heard it was great, but it died because it got killed.
Yeah. Oh man, like, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. There's nothing more satisfying than being in Tatooine, going into after PvP, going into a cantina on Tatooine in Mos Eisley, and sitting there watching an actual player entertainer who then would give you a fresh buff for you to go back into PvP or whatever content you were in. But because you were PvP and every time you killed a player, someone could put a bounty on your head, so you'd be sat in a cantina waiting to get your buff back, like being a bit on edge because any of the bounty hunters in the cantina could have actually picked up your bounty, and then you'd have these showdowns in the middle of a cantina, like try to fend off. Like it was a whole thing. Like it just caused a load of drama, and it was so fun.
This sounds like
Best
an
like
overworld. This sounds like a really fucking fun open world thing that Warframe could probably benefit from, but will never get realistically.
Oh yeah,
Especially,
like imagine if relays had like a like a Octavia or something, or like a sort of like an entertainer frame that you could make money off by them giving buffs. That'd be so absurd in this game.
The last thing we need is for Warframe to turn into EVE Online, where people literally make their living off this.
Yeah.
God no. Or not even for relays, but for like the actual open world hubs as well, like Cetus and Fortuna. That'd be fucking awesome.
Oh man, yeah. Well, just having. To be fair, I'm surprised it's not a thing that like the market stalls in Cetus. Like there are some like, that's the perfect place to put an auction house.
But
Why isn't
they're
there
not
an
gonna
auction
do
house
it.
in this game?
Yeah, they will never do it. It's just one of
I
those
don't
things.
understand the mentality of not wanting to put an auction house in game.
I don't know, because I guess
Already,
I think it's okay. Just tinfoil hat time. Honestly, I would say the reason they don't, just my opinion. I honestly would say that the reason why they don't really do anything about an auction house is because literally just having players physically just sit there and stare at trade chat and hope that whatever they want to buy or sell comes up. That technically takes time, and that inflates the number of people staying active at a given time. And outside on sources like Steam charts or Steam stats, that pads the game into looking better. Like, oh, look at all these people we have playing, whatever the fuck. When if you actually had an
just
auction
reminded
house,
me.
if you actually had an auction house, you could just drop the shit you want to sell and log off.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
but you'd still.
That's what I would say it is.
Oh. But the thing is, with it being that accessible, do you not think things would get sold quicker? And what if it actually certain high value items had a platinum tax on it?
Oh god, I think the Riven Mafia would actually have a riot over that.
Like that is a thing. There's two things you've triggered me to want to talk about now, because there's the the Riven Mafia thing that makes me laugh, man, so much.
That's actually unfortunately that's
I know
actually
it is.
thing.
I know it. I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing. Like I've known people that say they're in Riven Mafia. It kind of makes me laugh. I've sold Rivens for extortionate prices before in the past, and don't get me wrong. I think there's other ways that you can make money, but like it is a good way to make money. But I think platinum sinks in general, right? As in a platinum sink is in like somewhere there has to be a source of platinum, right? Like someone has to have bought that platinum for it to be in circulation, technically, right? Apart from maybe giveaways, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And having things that are platinum sinks, like like Riven mod capacities. Like, why is there a Riven mod cap? Why can't we just pay for more slots? Surely that's more of a platinum sink. It's the same with like resource boosters. The whole reason they don't want scaling loot is because why would you want to buy a resource booster then, which is a platinum sink for them? That's platinum that can no longer is no longer in circulation, meaning for more platinum to exist, like someone's going to have to purchase more, like in the grand scheme of things. So
probably because if they took off took off the cap on Riven mod storage, I guess people would just start hoarding stuff. I guess, and for the lesser.
I think someone told me that it was more to do with the memory cap, like the databases. But then again, like if that was the case, then they keep increasing it. So like, is that really the reason, or is that what we're just told? I don't know.
I guess that would make sense because they did increase the cap with Deadlock Protocol, and for like what 3-4 years, everyone only had like 3 appearance slots per Warframe, and now you can buy like 3 more.
Yeah. So do you reckon maybe they just upgraded the server capacity? I don't know. I'm not a big tech guy, so like I have no idea on hardware. But
I don't know.
whatever it is, maybe they've just increased that. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly hate how they, well, assuming that it's not a server problem when it comes to like actual storage and stuff. I hate how there's a cap on the appearance because I can make appearances like all day long for Warframes. Like if that was its own game, I would have like at least 500 hours in it already. But I hate having
Oh
only
yeah.
I hate only having 6 slots because then if I manage to make a cool new appearance, I either have to buy another Warframe to save it, or I have to delete something I already have. And if it's something I like, then I'm gonna feel like devastated over losing something I like, even if it's
Yeah.
just cosmetics. Ugh,
No, no. I meant the
first world
the
problems.
cosmetics in this game are another thing that kind of baffles me a little bit. Like some of the armor sets and sandanas, like it's cool that there are things that are wacky and different, but like there's stuff that just doesn't sit. Like for the big one that triggers me is so the Coup Village bundle, right? Like a lot of people raged about that.
Yeah.
And Gaz TTV, he quit for a little bit. He had a massive rant and quit like for a month or something because he felt that was pay to win because of the Requiem things that came with it. But for me, like the only, I still recommend buying that pack, and it's only for the color palettes because I like the desaturated colors and the hatred color palette is basically I use it for any metallic. It's got from silvers to gunmetals to bronzes, rose golds, all of it. It's got everything in that palette, and it's desaturated enough to make golds not look like piss cheese yellow, which is like a big like common thing in normal like prime frames, like the default colors.
Yeah.
I think it's really overly saturated yellow. But the awful armors that come with it, it's not the design of the structure of the armor. The texture quality on it looks unfinished. And this bundle is like 800 plus platinum. And for the value of just the color palettes and a few Requiem mod things, I think that's a huge price tag for what looks like unfinished work to me.
You think that's bad? You should have seen the What Stalker bundle that they made like years ago. That
Oh
like
god, I remember that.
yeah,
I
it was
remember
like
the What
what
Stalker
was it?
bundle.
Fucking 2-3 years ago. I mean I'm pretty sure it's still in the market, but it's 900, maybe a little bit over 1,000 platinum.
It was still, is it?
I
Jeez.
think so. It should be on the wiki actually. Let me see real quick.
I'm gonna look at that. I'm in game. I'm gonna go and quickly look. Jeez, that's ridiculous. I remember it being high, but I couldn't remember it being that high. Let's have a look. What stock? Oh, it's there. Yeah. 800 platinum, and you get hate, despair, dread, and a smoke color palette.
Not even top tier anymore.
Uh,
And what was the other Stalker bundle? The one that has
that
war?
that pack right there should come with every acolyte mod.
Yeah, that would actually make things so much better.
That should come with every acolyte mod, hands down. Why is that not a thing? Oh, tell you what, you know what? I actually kind of like had a little funny laughter breakdown on the stream talking about the status changes and how magnetic's still useless. Why is nobody gone? Magnetic damage. What if the status proc attracted other enemies to that enemy so it grouped them up? Like, so you could group enemies up just by proccing a status effect on one enemy. It would like actively like link others around it, similar to how Exodia Hunt works.
Because that makes too much sense, and we can't have things that make too much sense.
Just like I just thought, I kept the market thinking about it. I was like, why doesn't magnetic damage pull enemies together? Like start, I can't stop thinking about it. Like it seems to make
It's
so
more
much
like
sense.
just magnetic damage in 2020. Lol. That's more what it is.
It's the utility out of that. Like I think I would use magnetic damage hands down. I would use magnetic and toxin all the time if that was a thing. Imagine if you imagine if you had gas working before this massive nerf to gas, because gas is absolutely awful now. But and the problem, I don't think they needed to change gas, to be honest with you. It was broken if you could strip armor. Like if you could 100% strip armor, gas would just be ridiculous. If you could guarantee gas procs in every hit, it didn't matter what level enemies were, they were going to die. But you had to strip the armor first, meaning there was a level of difficulty doing that outside of, I don't know, maybe Ash, I
I
suppose.
actually am kind of a fan of what they did with the status procs, besides magnetic, which they basically did nothing for. But I think that
I don't think gas needed changing. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I feel like the biggest problem was magnetic for sure.
But at the end of the day, I feel like all they really did was just fucking make it so instead of running around with corrosive, everyone's running around with fire and either viral or gas. Just because viral and fire together are so fucking good.
Yeah, I don't like. So the meta for me right now, is getting 10 stacks of viral on an enemy. Doesn't matter what from, whether it's ability or weapons that like will get the 10 stacks as quick as possible on multiple enemies at once, if possible. And then just using Bane with Toxin or Slash, because your high dot damage focus that's multiplied by 10, um, with the viral is just, it's ridiculous amounts of damage. You don't even really need to strip armor anymore, but like I don't think they've done anything with the status changes that's changed any sort of meaningful play. You're still rocking around with condition overload, blood rush, weeping wounds, and a range mod or whatever, or berserker. You probably win the game with just those 4 mods now. But like, corrosive was king before with viral as a backup, and it's no different now. It's still the same.
Nah,
I don't think they changed anything really.
corrosive is kind of weaker, honestly. I'm at least
I'm
having
not sure
personally I'm having a better
if
time
that's.
with heat just because it straight up melts armor.
It's not. It's not really the armor stripping, but the bonus damage you get from the corrosive, from reducing the armor. You know, like before, if you overstripped an enemy's armor, you never got the damage bonus to the enemies. As a big thing, like because I used to just overstrip all the time and I didn't really care about the corrosive extra damage. But a big part of like why people are enjoying corrosive at the moment is because it doesn't overstrip now. It still keeps a bit of armor, meaning you still get the damage bonus from corrosive. So people are saying it's still really, really good. I still think viral has always just been the strongest, though. To be fair.
Also, kind of backtracking to what you said earlier, you actually use Bane mods?
Yes, absolutely. It's multiplicative damage. It's insane.
That's so weird. Maybe it's because I
Yeah,
I personally don't use Bane mods, but otherwise I don't think I've seen anyone use Bane mods outside of specific nodes that only has like one faction.
I well, I mean, I don't know many nodes that have multiple factions. Like when you go into one, it's either, I suppose, some invasions, but when it's down to an endurance, it's like, are we going to go do Mott? Are we going to do Kuva? Where are we going to go? Put on the Bane mod, but like it's usually to enhance Slash and Toxin or OG Gas, because Gas was just amazing with the amount of stealth multipliers with Bane. Like just an extra multiplicative damage on top of multiplicative damage is insane. Like mincing level 9,999 enemies in 2 seconds with a gas proc because you overstripped the armor and the gas can actually do all that damage along with Slash. It was insane. But I don't know. I just feel like the changes to armor were probably necessary for the entire player base, but I feel like for a veteran that knows what he's doing with mods, I feel like it's just taking out that extra step of wanting to take precautions to bring a weapon that will strip armor for you. I actually enjoyed that mechanic that you had to have a weapon that would prime your targets before just mincing through them.
Jesus. If the game wasn't enough of Power Fantasy enough, we also have fucking Riven mods to worry about.
So Riven mods are another thing that kind of boggles my mind a little bit, how people get annoyed about things. But I don't. So I'm fine with them nerfing Rivens. I don't care. I really don't care. Like to quote Jurassic Park, nature will always find a way. There's going to be always a way to break this game. Like it did, just so your flavor of the month weapon doesn't one shot these level 175 doesn't mean that another weapon or the same weapon with a little bit of extra, application from an ability or something, it can do the same result. Like I just feel it's so minuscule, but the mentality of how they nerf things is boggles my mind because it goes in the stats of how much a thing is played rather than the performance of the actual weapon in general. You know what I mean?
Or how meta it is. Because remember during Scarlet Spear when they just decided to fucking nerf Limbo and Korra because they were too good at defending?
Yeah. I mean, I hardly touched Scarlet Spear. That's the start of that was during my ban,
Wow, that's
but I
surprising.
did play it. Yeah. Your audio's gone really quiet, FYI, just in case
It
that messes
has?
up your recording.
What the fuck?
Really quiet. You sound like you're dropped down a well.
Oh shit. Hang on. Tell me if this is better or not. Yeah? No? Maybe so?
Oh, a lot quieter. I think I've got you turned up full on my end. Hang on, maybe I can turn you up.
Hmm.
There we go. You sound better for me at least. I don't know about your recording. Hopefully it's okay.
Whatever. Anyway, we were talking about Rivens and stuff being like totally fine, not balanced.
I think it's more of a case of if the weapon on its own underperforms, then the Riven should have a static disposition. Just because it's popular because it does perform well with a Riven, I don't think is a warrant to nerf it essentially. Just because it's overused.
I really do feel like if they actually went up and nerfed every single Riven, not just the Riven Mafia, but like a lot of people would be upset about it because one, there are Rivens that exist that cost like basically a kidney to get, and having that taken away from you after having either grinded or bought for it fair and square just seems kind of like a dick move. Even though I would agree that it is warranted because Rivens are kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, there are weapons that have good Rivens but aren't meta, like the Convectrix or the Plinks or something like that. And there are weapons that are good but don't really have good Riven disposition, like almost anything that's prime. So to go and flat out nerf everything, even the things that aren't meta, just seems a little bit too extreme.
Like, I don't know. For me, I think it's just more of a case of you don't need Rivens in order to be powerful in the first place. They do the Rivens. To my understanding, Rivens should have been the tool to, if a weapon is underpowered and it's not used because it's underpowered, then a Riven would allow that weapon to shine. I think the issue is that they go on, oh, this weapon's now been really popular. Its disposition should be lowered. I just don't think it should be on performance, not on popularity, essentially.
Yeah, but then if they base it on performance, then that's going to change the popularity as well. Like if they make
True, but that's not a bad thing. Like you should want your community to enjoy the weapons that they acquire. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if the community is leaning to one specific meta, maybe addressing the reason behind that. Is it because that one weapon is really powerful, or is it because some YouTuber made a video on it and it influenced it that way? I don't know. Like, does it really actually overperform as much as it is popular? I don't know. For me, I was never a Catch Moon player. I never understood the hype with that weapon. I do not care about it being nerfed into the ground in
yeah,
the
same.
slightest.
I was more.
And I'm not trying to say that to be edgy either. I genuinely just never really used it.
Yeah, I actually never used it either. I was more of a Rattle Guts player.
I was just still rocking the Maradetron until the Coup came out, to be honest with you.
Wow, you're fucking old school.
Yeah, I'm running the Maradetron now with Mag. It's insane. It's a great weapon. But that's more to the point of what I mean, though. Like, there are a lot of strong weapons that perform perfectly fine without Rivens. I just don't think they're worth crying about. Yeah, it takes, if you spent a lot of platinum on a thing and they nerf it into the ground, then I would be pissed too. But like, I think they should maybe they should make a point and address how Rivens are nerfed or how the dispositions are changed properly. Maybe they have. I've just not followed it. But if they made it clearer to the community from the get go, or these new players that may be like tempted to buy a Riven with all the prime accesses they've bought or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't be so inclined to be annoyed because they changed something with it.
I honestly just at this point, just Rivens were a mistake, kind of like Harkwing. Fuck.
But then it begs to differ if like, what would you do for any sort of sustainable content? Because there are people. I used to be one of them. I used to like live for the perfect role Riven. Like, and I still enjoy Rivens to make ludicrous like setups with, but at the same time, it's not necessary. Like, it's never been necessary. But at the same, what would you farm for if not? Because everything else is just island resource content. You know what I mean? Rivens
Yeah.
are the only thing that is sustainable, which is why I said I would prefer if it was legendary weapons that dropped that had specific, random generated rolls on them. Rein them in. So, like, say this gun, when you get a critical hit, it would like fire a chain lightning across to a certain X amount of targets. That would be a cool perk on a gun, not just like increasing variance levels of status chance and IPS. I think that's the main issue with weapon design at the moment. How many dual pistols have we got with various IPS and status and crit chance that all do the same thing, fire the same, feel kind of the same?
Too many.
Too many. Exactly.
But I really do
Um,
feel like fucking. I think who was that one guy a few years back who was arguing that mods entirely need to be like overhaul? I think his name was like Zamboni, something like that.
Oh, I don't know, but I kind of agree that there are. I feel like you can win the game pretty much with 10
Yeah,
golden mods, I would call them.
yeah. I've seen the argument for removing mods entirely and instead replacing the game with a more like weapon attachment thing, like you decide, like fucking changing out the trigger, alters like the damage or status, whatever shit like that. And I'm not against it, but I'm not exactly for it either because I mean I don't like mods, but have switching from that to an attachment based system would be a
I think
pretty
that's too drastic of a change. I think the modding system's too heavily baked into the core game to
yeah.
warrant that kind of change. That's an unrealistic change, comparatively to a realistic change of changing up a reward system or how enemies pressure the players and stuff.
And on top of that, how would they go about balancing mods to get rid of the quote unquote mandatory mods like Point Strike or Serration or Lethal Torrent?
Mm,
Because I
I
remember the closest thing we got to that was the Exilus mods, which are utility, quote unquote, which that kind of failed because fucking. I mean, there are mods that are utility, like they made Hush be Exilus, and that just makes your weapon silent. They made
yeah.
ammo mutation utility, and I guess that's silent. But then there are other weapons, or there are other mods that just flat out help you, like the one they just released recently for single pistols that makes it so if you shoot an energy orb, you get the energy but like doubled or something like that.
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. I would quite like the option to be able to isolate elementals as well. So even if you put, say, toxin and electricity, if you wanted, and instead of having corrosive, have the option to be able to isolate them still. So you have electricity and toxin without them combining. Like, I don't understand why that isn't a thing. Why they have to be combined.
And then Exilus mods are fucking. Or should I think I've been confusing it. No, Exilus mods and that other thing they
Augments.
introduced. No, not augments. Fuck, what's it called? Oh, what I mean is that yeah, they did. Going back to what I was trying to say earlier, they did intend Exilus mods to be like utility, but when
Mm,
they released Agility Drift and Aviator and other things that like directly affect like
yeah.
the performance of the player, that just kind of went out the window. The other thing I was trying to talk about was fucking Weapon Exilus. Yeah, that's what it was. Weapon Exilus. That's what I was trying to make.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I just put holster speed on them all the time. To be
Honestly, I've never really had a
silly.
problem with holster speed, so that as a weapon Exilus is a weird one. I usually just run ammo mutations because then you never have to worry about, oh, your sentinel died. Guess you can't pick up ammo anymore.
You're talking to an endurance. My sentinel's already dead. Like, it's already dead. Or well, it's probably getting rezzed because it's a Jin usually. But no, I use the holster speeds because of using weapons for utility. Especially like using like in order to strip armor or prime a target with 10 stacks of viral now, or throw a ferox to be able to clump enemies into a certain location using the throne ability on it. Like those kind of weapons where you fire it out, or like currently with this build that I'm doing with Mag, where magnetize, you fire a penta round. You only have to fire one penta round and then swap back to, like, say, the Maradetron or something. Everything just feels more fluid. I don't really struggle with ammo because I'm running Arcane Pistolier. So, like, for me, it's not really an issue with ammo. It's more of a case of speeding up all the unnecessary stuff in order to get a high TTK or DPS or kill per second, I suppose.
And regarding that, we were talking about mod rebalancing. What do you think about rebalancing literally every single fucking augment that exists? Because there's some that are just flat out useless.
I think most of those augments should be lose augments as mods, make the augments a passive tree, skill tree that you click into.
Exactly. That's what people have been saying, but of course, no, we can't have that, Star Fox. Ugh.
That's all it needs to be. It just needs to be a little passive perk tree for each Warframe that has certain augments. Do you want vacuum on Titania? Is a good example of something you wouldn't want to fucking waste a mog slot on, but you could quite easily have just as a perk. Like,
Yeah, that is
it makes so much more sense.
That is so fucking stupid anyway. Who in their right mind would take a mod that disables your vacuum on purpose? As if vacuum is a fucking problem to begin with. That will be like, okay, imagine they made a mod that disables shield gate, because if I remember right, the augment that affects Titania's vacuum, it does disable vacuum when you're in Razor Wing, but it also gives you the effect of like Aviator or something like that. But you also can't equip Aviator at the same time because that would be fucking broken as shit. Imagine if they made a mod that gives you the effect of fucking that Exilus mod that increases your power strength, power drift. If they made a mod that gives you that effect but disables your shield gate, would anyone actually run it? Would anyone actually run it?
Yes, Inaros players.
That would be pointless though, because power drift already exists and it has
of course.
It has literally no negative fucking drawback to it. I don't
True,
know.
yeah, of course. I don't know. It depends if you wanted to stack it, but I mean, I don't know. Inaros players make me laugh in the first place, to be honest with you.
Because they just like face roll the game and they win?
No, because they think they can face roll the game. When it comes into an endurance, they get absolutely clapped because they don't have any shield gating or invisibility. And when it gets to a stage where your 4k or 10k health is a matter of you getting shot in 1 second anyway, it's bye bye Inaros and hello Mag with shield gating, because you have that in iframe and mechanic. I don't know. Obviously, for normal play, it's a completely different thing, but like it depends on what you're doing. But like the people that like to think Inaros is an endurance frame make me laugh, essentially.
Because
the whole S tier thing is funny. He's not an S tier tank. He's probably one of the worst tanks, personally.
I figure that one of the better ways to play the game would be just take like an immortal Inaros build, like just slap on like Arcane Grace and Arcane Ultimatum, which it's so easy to proc, it's ridiculous. I've been running it on my Vauban.
Yeah.
I've been running it on my Vauban because the armor buff from Bastille is kind of trash, and I've never felt like so much better at higher level content with it. I'm actually going to be
honestly, since shield gating came in, Vauban is just absolutely ridiculous now. He was nuts before. I had a lot of fun with him beforehand, and now he's just crazy, man. I love playing Vauban.
Yeah, but he's still not as good as he could be, mostly because Vector Pad and Photon Strike exist.
Yeah, I mean, but like, there's a kind of a growing trend of that with a lot of Warframes. If you look at Wisp, her 4 is terrible. You look at Revenant, his 4 is terrible. You look at Mesa, her first ability is arguably not really that useful. I still use it from time to time with like a sniper shot or something, but realistically, you don't even need to use it with Mesa. There are a lot of frames that have one or even sometimes two abilities that you realistically never use. Um, and I think like that for Vauban, he has something usable in his kit from every ability. It's just those little grenades could be better. There could be some way better stuff they could have done with him. To be honest with you.
No, from what at least from my own testing and experience, Mind Layer is fine, even though not many people really view it the same way, because Fleshette Orb is like bread and butter right now, just because the damage scaling on it is so good. Tether Coil, it's okay on its own, but if you like combine it with Bastille or Fleshette Orb, it bounces out. So I would honestly give that a pass.
Tether Coil's the single little like grab to the enemy that pulls it onto the floor, right?
Yeah, it pulls.
Yeah, I think that's a useless one because you have Vortex already.
It's
I feel
actually
like that should have.
It actually isn't, surprisingly. It actually isn't, because the range on Tether Coil is actually way bigger than both Bastille and Vortex, meaning that the only two practical applications you can use it is in well, there's actually 3 situations, but one of them's not really common. The first one is in like low-level survival or mobile defense. You can literally throw that down, and the damage it deals from grabbing enemies will instantly kill them. So it's actually better than Flechette Orb at lower levels. Then the other two situations you can use it in is combining it with Flechette Orb, because obviously what it does is it pulls enemies towards it, meaning that it's easier to hit because the target's not moving, and once that enemy dies, it'll pull in another one and basically just keep feeding the Flechette Orb, so it basically becomes a cleanser.
We should totally do like an endurance interception or something with Vauban's. It'd be really fun.
It would get
It's
boring
just
though, I
like
imagine.
it's so cheese, yeah. It'd be
But in
so
a nutshell,
cheese.
Flechette Orb and Tether Coil combined, it basically just turns into a blender as long as it's up. And then the other way is Bastille and Tether Coil, which I personally don't use that frequently, but it is useful, because since the range on Tether Coil is bigger than Bastille, what you can do is after you throw down a Bastille, you throw a Tether Coil somewhere inside the Bastille, and what it does is, obviously because the range is bigger, it'll reach out and pull enemies into the Bastille, and even if they don't get levitated, it'll still kick in the armor effect that the buff gives you from draining enemies. And if you actually have fucking repelling Bastille active, it's nuts.
I just don't respect armor. I don't respect armor. I don't respect health anymore either. I literally run at 1 HP. If it doesn't matter to me now. Like if you can survive on 1 HP with shield gating, and you can get into that repetition, which by the way it isn't easy. You have to be on your toes. You need to be parkouring. You do need to make sure that you not over rolling, because then your rolling guard goes down, and you can, if your shield gating gets down with hit scan weapons like the Grenier weapons, the the Gorgon that they use or anything, they will take your shield gating down and smack you like really quickly down, and you can still die quite a lot with it. So I don't think shield gating's broken, but at the same time, it's in such a good place now that I've never respected armor. I think it's a bit of a joke mechanic in this game. I don't think it really works. And health has been something that you would use it for everyday play, I think. But when it comes down to if you can train yourself to play on 1 HP with shield gating, you have no need for health or armor anymore.
Wouldn't you
So
still
like, I
just
don't
get?
know. Like,
Wouldn't you still just get destroyed
go
by
on,
like
sorry.
Toxin or Slash, since you're just playing at 1
No,
HP?
because you have your rolling guard, which removes the dots. That's what I'm saying. And on top of that, health pads if need be. You just pop a health pad or elevate, or go into your Tenno. Like, there's so many ways to counteract either dots, or like I suppose hit scan stuff as well. You just pop into your Tenno, make sure you can like lock down. People cried about the lockdown changes. I could not care less that it doesn't do damage anymore. It was always meant for CC in the first place for me.
I actually don't think I use lockdown anymore. I always use repair, and I forgot what the other one was. But I did use lockdown before, but after a while, I just stopped using it. So by the
I
time
use anomaly. It's anomaly I use anomaly and lockdown because it's lockdown obviously pins everything down, and anomaly then groups everything all up into one spot for you to just go ham on.
yeah, but then again, I just most of the time I just play Vauban, so taking lockdown is kind of
I was gonna
overkill.
say yeah. I mean, like laughing at a major anomaly with your vortex and Bastille.
That actually would be fucking overkill. Oh man,
Yeah.
what was it talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Tether grenades,
Oh yeah.
Vauban.
Otherwise, honestly, I feel it would be more accurate if they renamed Mine Layer to Flechette Orb because basically everything in Mine Layer besides Vector Pad revolves around or it affects fucking Flechette Orb because that's your main
Hmm.
damage. Tether Coil helps you deal that damage by getting enemies closer. Overdriver makes you deal more damage both on your guns and on Flechette Orb, and Vector Pad is just fucking useless.
I think I just use Overdriver on it on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
I use the
people
Fletcher obs obviously as well.
it annoys me how so many people sleep on Overdriver. It's so good, but no one fucking wants to use it. Just because,
It could be better, but it is good. It
yeah.
could be better, but it is good for sure.
And kind of like what I was saying before, Photon Strike, it's cool, but it's not practical, in my opinion.
Oh God, no! Yeah, to be honest with you, I forgot that existed. Yeah. uh,
It's like.
that's the gimmick. That's the should. That's the mechanic I was speaking to before, maybe on the previous recording. That the design of abilities in Warframe seems to be more focused around testing tech out. Like, can you do it? Can the team make this thing do this? Rather than should they do it? Like, should that be in game? Should it be useful? And at what extent is it useful?
But I don't think the tech behind Photon Strike is even that complex because it's literally just a giant fucking laser.
Particle limits and stuff. I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
if it was affected by the environment, like, oh, you can't use it indoors, or if you use it indoors, it does like more damage somehow. I guess, yeah,
yeah.
that would have tech involved. But since they literally said, yeah, you can use it indoors and it's the same damage every single time, I'm pretty sure the only tech is just big boom laser pointer. That's just me.
What's your take on adding more enemy? I mean, I've talked about it earlier about enemies that pressure you having different. Have you ever noticed that near enough every enemy in normal missions, at least, is like the same height, runs at the same speed, and reacts basically the same way? They'll just like, mindlessly point and shoot, right? And people have Jesus talked about AI plenty of times. I think we all have, like, and how it's really dumb. But I feel if they got rid of hit scan weapons and started maybe implementing like elite enemies, like similar, I guess that's what they wanted to try and do initially. The idea of Eximuses was supposed to be elite enemies that had unique like resistances and things, but like I mentioned before about like an enemy that like created a like fire on the floor, like tempted you to do like the floor is lava type sort of gameplay where you have to react to it, or otherwise you're gonna have a bad time. Like, what about implementing, like, say, the assassination bosses to pressure you, like Sarge's Rook or something coming into missions and fighting you, having these random encounters affect you, like in game? I think would be really cool. I guess like a better Vor, Captain Vor in Mott, but more fleshed out.
I feel like they did try going for elite enemies before. Do you remember way before we even had sorties? There was like one mission where the Grenier had like a certain unit of enemy called like Night Watch or something like that.
Oh yeah, are they not in the game anymore?
I don't think they are, or at least I haven't seen them besides that one time. I think
I
it
don't think
was
I have either. To be fair,
I think it was part of an alert or something in the past, but I remember fighting them.
could have
They
been.
were
Yeah.
they were fucking scary as shit because even though they were technically just like repainted Grenier enemies and stuff, they were like way more tanky, dealt way more damage, and this was like before like Rivens existed, so they outclassed you in every way. So
Hmm.
literally all you could do was just run.
I guess a good example would be like the Wolf of Saturn 6. Actually, that's more along the terms I'm talking about. Like enemies that are like that, like a standout enemy that had like its own squad of enemies inside the mission that would come in and interrupt what you were doing, but they would pressure the player and wouldn't be easily killed. Like you can't just sarin your way through them, or Messer peacemake them down. They would pressure the player and cause the team or your solo player to react differently, rather than just solve everything with, a sword with condition overload or something on it.
Yeah.
But,
Oh man. Do you remember
like
when?
just something like that to pressure. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just I do agree with the Wolf of Saturn 6 was a really good slash fun boss, even though personally I did not have a good experience with the wolf just because how fucking tanky he was. But he was still fun. I loved it. But fucking God, I really wish they had more of that intrusion thing in the game. Like, do you remember when they announced that playable stalker thing at like I think
Oh
TennoCon?
god, yeah. I still would love that. I still would love that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think
Um, and I never really had a good experience in Dark Souls. I hated Dark Souls PvP. It used to waz me off. I just wanted to play with my friend, and he kept getting invaded because you have to be like human on Dark Souls, which like allowed you to play with a friend, but also would allow players to invade you. And like, I mean, that was annoying in that game. In Warframe, like, I don't know. I don't think an opt-in thing is a good idea because, like, I think it'd just get abused. Like, if you didn't want to, if you were doing anything, you just opt out of it, and then it'd be a dead game mode. So how do you implement it correctly?
I think Sabuchi was one who told me that Scott, or not Scott, Steve said somewhere that the playable stalker thing it is ready. I think the coding might actually be in the game already, and it is like ready in some form. They just haven't put it in yet, and they haven't said why.
It's definitely already in the game because they've fought players on the live build with it, so it's definitely there. It's just a case of implementing it. Um, but it's how do you address that, because there's a lot of the community that hate the notion of any kind of PvP. Um, I I was talking on stream a while back about another idea. Completely ignore Conclave, ignore the Stalker mode. What if Deviri Paradox, or whatever it's called? You're adult Tenno, right? You imagine it's like where the Orokin actually are now. Like they weren't all fully wiped out. There is like a last conclave of them. No pun intended there. But
Cringe.
what if yeah, what if adult Tenno, or like that were there, you could like have like a gladiatorial arena, and I don't mean like a 1v1, but like a MOBA style. How many focus schools are there? Is there 5?
Five,
Or is there
yeah,
4?
five. It's 5.
So if you think about the focus schools and you make them archetype classes for like a MOBA, like an Nairu tank, like Madurai ranged magic DPS, Naramon assassin DPS, etc. You get the idea, right?
Yeah.
You have these focus schools. You have your adult Tenno with weaponry that we already use, except it's an adult Tenno using it. Because for me, the thing that ruins Conclave is it's too fast paced for you to actually feel rewarded when shooting someone, because it's just like squatting a fly. You know what I mean? It's so like you can get them, you can swat the fly, but it's going to be irritating to get that fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chasing it around your room kind of thing. That's how Conclave feels to me. So if you took that mobility out, and people like argued with me on stream, like, oh well, it's what you come to this game because you love the mobility. It's like I came to this game because I saw a cool fucking sci-fi game with space ninjas, but I'm still down to open to ideas and stuff. But like a objective based PvP where they pit Tenno against Tenno, two groups of Tenno, with PVE, thrown in there like an actual MOBA, while the Orokin watch overhead, would be a really cool concept and would make sense with your focus schools having archetype classes already. I think it'd make a lot of sense. It'd flesh out being able to use weapons with like an adult Tenno that has like human mobility, so you're not like super fast paced. I imagine it to play out similar to something like Gears of War in that PvP, or something like that. I don't know.
That
What are
does
your thoughts
sound
on that?
that does sound cool as shit, but honestly, just pessimistically speaking, I don't think DE would do it because one, PvP is fine as long as it kind of ties into the rest of the game somehow. Because they
Yeah.
tried making Lunaro a thing, but that failed because it wasn't tied to PvE at all. It was part of the Conclave, which again no one cares about, and it was a one and done thing. Like, oh, I did a match of Conclave, I didn't really get anything out of it that affects him in game, but whatever. And also because
It was janky as well. It's pretty janky gameplay. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't think it was smooth.
yeah, unless they want to make it like a main thing, like, hey, you can grind here for like endo and stuff. No one's gonna care. It's gonna end up, at least in my opinion, it's gonna end up like Frame Fighter or Wormius or Happy Zephyrs, like just something in on the side you can do for fun, but not anything like major. Also, on kind of an obvious note, I don't think, even though the game's rated M, I don't think they would make something that allows children to brutally try to slaughter each other.
But that's the thing. You're not children. It's adult Tenno.
Oh, I forgot about
You're
that. Yeah.
matured.
Oh, that is fine.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
fine.
I'm saying.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Your character models would fit as well. The weapons would fit because you would be the right size. It would make sense. Like just in so many levels. Oh, I don't think it will ever be implemented, but I feel like that is such a clear bread and butter way of making a viable experience of PvP that keeps the PvEers happy, while also making sense lore-wise and making use of all the focus tools and giving them some sort of meaning, and gives you replayable content as well. And for me personally, I like the idea of having the investment of putting a bit more time and effort into knowing the Tenno as well. Like I really like that idea of maturing the Tenno. So I don't know. I think it was just a solid idea that will never see the light of day.
Yeah, feels bad, man. But I'm assuming when you say mature the Tenno, that also means mentally, not just physically. Because otherwise, if we're all just physically mature but not mentally, literally everyone's running around as Captain Shazam with the body of like a god but the mind of a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing actually, though, because I don't know. I say I'm quite knowledgeable on lore, but technically we are thousands of years old, and Tenno just don't age, from what I was told before. So I don't know. Maybe someone can correct me on that. But like
Permanent children.
technically,
What?
yeah, I'm pretty sure we're sterile and we don't age because of whatever happened to us in the void. But I mean, on that front, then what is this catastrophic event that's going to make us age, or is it something to do with the paradox? I don't understand, but I like the idea of the mature Tenno thing. I hope that's fleshed out.
You could honestly just say space magic, and it would be acceptable, because they haven't really even explained what the void does. They just say space magic.
But that's the worst thing about Star Wars, like for me, is that they can solve everything with space wizards. Have you ever noticed that like Rogue One was really good? Out of all the new Star Wars films, like if I asked most of my friends, they're like, "Yeah, Rogue One was the best Star Wars film to come out recently," and it's because it. For me, I'm just like, it's because it doesn't have space wizards in it that you can just solve every problem with. It gives an element of danger to the characters. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're right though.
I do agree with that. Rogue One was a pretty fucking good movie. But side note, I personally think Star Wars would have been better if instead of basing the lightsaber fighting, instead of basing that around the samurai, it would have been cooler if they based it around the ninja. That would have been fucking cooler.
Wait, in Star. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
On Rogue One.
Yeah, no, it's Star Wars in general. Because I remember reading somewhere that George Lucas based the Jedi and the Sith and the whole concept of lightsaber fighting. He based that on the samurai. But
Right, okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally think it would have been better if instead of the samurai, he used the ninja.
Kind of hard to sneak up on. Well, I suppose not with it turned off. Actually, boom, turn it on.
That's just me personally.
You imagine how really short the fight scenes would be if they were just ninjas.
No, if it was just like a plain assassination, yeah, sure, it'd be like 30 seconds long. But if it's two people who know how to like parkour and shit and have like ninja space magic, that shit will be fucking lit.
Are you a fan of Sekiro? Have you played it?
I like it, but it's weird because I like it, but I don't like Bloodborne or Dark Souls. I don't know how that makes any sense.
Well, they are quite different in mechanics. I have not played Bloodborne. I've done Dark Souls 1 and 3. I haven't done 2. But Sekiro, I'm still playing through really casually. I actually don't have it installed at the moment. I keep on it, not for like rage quitting or anything. I've just been busy, but I needed the space because all my footage is 10K. Sorry, 4K, and I've got like a 10 terabyte hard drive that's just full of 4K footage that I'm not even using. I need to sift through
Jesus.
everything. But it's just like I don't know. I really enjoyed the game, and like it kind of gave me a reminiscent of games of old. Like I grew up on like Mega Drive games where like you go through a level and then you do something. You'd have to start from it's the whole Dark Souls mentality, I suppose, of like trial by error until you get it right kind of thing. But like the reward and adrenaline rush of Sekiro is something I've never experienced in a Dark Souls game. The Dark Souls bosses you can just dodge roll your way to victory. Sekiro you can, and you actively need to be switched on and do all this like parry and stuff. And I don't know, that whole game felt really empowering, but like that's the kind of shinobi experience that was missing. I would love to see something like that implemented a little bit more into Warframe. It'll never happen though.
Yeah, having a player actually have like mechanical skill, I'm pretty sure that would like murder a lot of people just because the game is kind of casual already, and even I think that their interpretation of endgame content is way different from ours because when they said that Railjack would be like the brand new thing that we all do, fucking that came out, and I think according to Steam, like less than 10% of the player base has even built the fucking Railjack, the dry dock.
Mm. But it's because it wasn't what it was promised to be, and it's had a lot of bad press because of that as well. I actually
Yeah.
think you're probably one of the biggest influences on this. Oh my god, that whole every time I don't watch the Warframe streams, like I don't watch them. I feel like, and this is not me attacking the devs or anything, but it's just so full of fluff. Do you remember me mentioning Star Citizen?
Yeah.
Star Citizen don't do a dev stream a month or whatever it is that Warframe do. They throughout every week they will upload new concepts. They will have an inside Star Citizen per week. There will be like a full like disclosure on a roadmap, and they'll actually update the roadmap as things go wrong. They will go, yeah, this has gone wrong. We need way more time on it. They're so honest. I've seen 3 main developers of the game in a Twitch chat of just a random streamer answering questions about stuff. It's so brutally honest and upfront because they have to be, because it's a crowd-funded game. People have spent a lot of money on things that don't even exist yet to support that game. With Warframe, when I watch a dev stream now, I just think it's like, oh, I want to pull my hair out and just it's just so bad. It's just so full of fluff and things that you don't care about to try and fill out the time slot, that it doesn't seem like they really discuss any sort of grand scheme of plan of what's going on. And I'm worried that like they don't have any true sort of roadmap for where this game is going now. I'm kind of a bit worried on that front.
Nah, the last time they had a roadmap was in 2019, and that was a fucking mess because they wanted to have Railjack and New War and Duvir Paradox all in 1 year.
Yeah.
And you know how that turned out.
I wonder. Yeah, but the thing is, they don't even address the issues why. And the only thing that says to me that the reason they don't is to protect certain employees that have quite obviously underachieved, not met deadlines, and it's completely crunched huge pieces of content. Um, that's all I can assume anyway. Obviously, I'm not backing this up with any evidence, although those Glassdoor reviews of employees from 2017-18 show negligence on upper management communicating with the teams and stuff.
That is something I love that developers do when they're just like 100% honest of everything they're doing. Like, kind of tying it back to Final Fantasy 14. One thing I love about the developers is that no matter like what context they're on, they always like, even though they look like they're tired as hell, they always like fucking give 110%. Like the creative director
Mm.
Yoshi P, he makes it like a requirement that literally every single person in his team actually plays the game. Like even something like minor.
Oh, that's cool.
Even
Yeah.
even
That's kind of a thing you should be really like. You should be into the game.
yeah, but even if it's something minor, like quality assurance, like programming wise, not game wise, or sound design, they have to play the game. That way they can like more understand what it is they're doing, and if it and sort of get like a more of a feel of what they should be doing. And on top of that, every once in a while, he will also like grab a few other developers from the team, and they do something called the producer's live letter, where basically they just talk about like what they're doing, what they're planning, what the next patch is going to have, stuff like that. And then they put that on YouTube after doing it on Twitch. And sometime later, they release the exact same live letter on YouTube, but with commentary in the
Mm.
background, so they can like add on anything they left out.
Reflect on it and stuff as well. Yeah, that's good. That's kind of well, what they do with Star Citizen. They have all these inside Star Citizen, but then Chris Roberts, the lead owner of the company, who did all the Wing Commander games and stuff, and some of the lead designers will they'll sit around a table, and it's all very well produced, like they're really well lit, like studio quality. Like it looks like. Do you ever see the actor round tables on YouTube? Have you
I
seen those?
heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, there's a massive channel on you. I don't think it's a YouTube channel called Round Actors Round Table. You have like Tom Hanks put with like I don't know, like an up and coming actor, then next to like Gary Oldman or something, like any celebrity from Tom Cruise, whoever, doesn't matter. Loads of different backgrounds of different like sort of um, they could be a TV show actor or they could be a movie actor. Doesn't matter. But they would all like shoot the shit together and stuff. It's the same with the Star Citizen developers. They all sit around, no matter what. It could be like a lead designer and then like just a programmer, and they discuss the what's gone wrong and what's going right and what comes from the future. But like in such a detailed level that it doesn't feel fluffed. Which when I watch a dev stream from Warframe, all I feel is like I'm being lied to or misled, and there's nothing to support that it's otherwise. Like that's the big thing for me that's frustrating me with the Warframe like development at the moment, massively so.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of people have forgotten about, and I'm surprised isn't brought up more frequently, is that way back in DevStream, whatever the fuck it was, when they announced that they're releasing Forma to the game for the first time, they said the drop chance for it was going to be like 15% or something like that in game. Then when they added it to the game, everyone was trying to get it, but it was like barely dropping at all. So somebody data mined it, and apparently the drop chance was actually closer to like 2.3%.
What, for Umbral Former?
No, regular Forma, when Forma just came
Oh,
out.
regular Former. Oh
Yeah.
God, right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I haven't found any like definitive like evidence of this, but I've heard it from like a lot of people who have played the game like way back in the day. That Forma used to be like a bitch to get,
To
and
be fair though,
that was
like, could you
that was like a big reason why they're pushing for data mining, because it keeps the developers honest.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, if you made, I don't know, double-edged sword with this, but like, if you imagine Former was still like that, right? It was super, really super rare. Like, so rare that like having a Warframe that had like loads of polarities and this like massive build with fully upgraded mods was such like an impressive thing, because like you wouldn't see it all the time. And like, oh my god, that guy is absolutely mincing through everything, and like you inspect him and he's got like this fucking epic build or whatever. And you're like, oh my god, how has he got all that? Like, I kind of would be cool, but at the same time, it isolates so many people. That it's probably a good thing that they made them more readily available. I don't know. I suppose you can still purchase them.
Yeah, you
Forgot
can.
about that.
It's
If
I
that
only
wasn't
know
a
you.
thing that you could buy.
I only know that because I fucking gift Forma like it's drugs.
Yeah. Oh well, I purchased Formula, like, not with money, but like with plat.
Yeah.
plenty of times over. But you mean if it wasn't a purchasable commodity and Former was just a rare drop, having like a full epic build would mean so much more rather than you've just spent I don't know however long in a Daro.
Yeah. It's another one of those things that I think would be interesting if they did it, but at this point it's too late to do it. And if
Oh,
they
it's
did,
far too late.
yeah,
Just imagine the progression of the game if it had just stayed in that route, though.
yeah,
I don't know where they really should take it, though. Now, I definitely think the idea of augments being perks, like a passive perk tree, is hands down should be implemented. Like, let's fight for that one. That would be
yeah.
great.
But they won't do it though, because they're like augments are like they're optional because a lot of augments are like really fucking good, like Eternal War for Valkyr or the fucking Scarab armor one for Inaros that makes it so like if you have your Scarab armor activated and you take like a status hit, you lose like 3% of your armor, but it negates the proc or something like that. If that were a passive, that would be a definitive upgrade. And I think their
Mm,
philosophy is like, yeah, most augments are like 100% upgrades to abilities, which is why they're on mod. It takes up a space in your slot in exchange for having like a way better ability. So making it a passive, I agree would be fucking cool, but it would also make the game more of a fucking snooze fest.
yeah, I think it's day to day wanting to actually play the game. Like, what's your stance on Nightwave? Do you enjoy Nightwave? Do you not enjoy Nightwave? Do you think it was a good idea?
A mixed opinion of it. Like I did the entire first season of The Wolf of Saturn 6. The second one I missed completely because I was deployed, so I didn't get anything from that. I don't know anything about the second season. I did a lot of intermission. That was boring as shit. The third one right now,
Mm.
I mean, I like the mystery aesthetic, but it's more of a combination of I'm not having that much fun playing Warframe, so I don't really feel very inclined to do Nightwave. And if anything, I feel like I have to do it, otherwise I miss out on standing and rewards.
Yeah, so I'm in a similar sort of state for it. For me, I have to be motivated enough to play Warframe as it is. I mainly do it to keep my community, and I enjoy making videos, like pretty videos. But outside of that, like I don't like being told what to do in game. Like I don't want to go and fish. I've never wanted to go and do any kind of fishing in this game. I joined this game because I wanted to play Space Ninjas. If I wanted to stand throwing spears in rivers, play a different game. Like for me, I don't like that. I'm forced to do menial tasks in game of things I don't enjoy doing in order to progress for a reward system, which could have just be a season pass that is based around your activity. The more you're playing the game, the higher rewards you get. I think a change to Nightwave I would like would be you do rank up your Nightwave passively just by being active in game, rather than having to. It's slower, obviously, but by season end you'd still do it if you were active playing the game long enough, because it would warrant you. If you didn't enjoy doing all these menial tasks, you could still be you could still get it. You know what I mean? Like other games that have season passes,
Yeah, but most of
they
those
don't make you
are
jump through hoops.
yeah, but most of those you have to buy or something like that. Like the season pass for Rainbow Six Siege,
True,
it
but I'd be okay
usually
with that.
I
I'd be
don't.
okay with that. I'd be okay with if I could just buy like for £10 or whatever the season pass, and then just play as I play get rewarded. I would be fine with that. I don't mean just flat out buy and get everything from the reward table. I still would like some to work for it. Just I would like to do things I enjoy doing rather than doing menial tasks that I'm told to do.
I personally, I would be fine with that because I could also afford it. But a lot of people who are casual, who don't really have money to throw around at Warframe, and they play just because it's free, I don't think they would really support
Could still have
a.
that option though. They could
If
still have the not the normal Nightwave. That's what I mean. I'm only giving incentive to someone who doesn't want to do the little shitty missions that they keep
I think
fronting
this
up.
is
Like
actually, I think this is actually pretty similar to the season pass system that they have in Rainbow Six Siege, where they have one path that's like 100% free, you get it by default, and the other one you pay
Mhm.
for, which it gives you more stuff, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah. I just think an alternative route. Like I say, my time is valuable to me. I have little time to play this game. The time that I do want to play it, I don't want to be spending doing this random ass stuff that I don't enjoy doing in order to get this reward, which I want, and I don't want to be excluded out of. But my time's too valuable for me to waste it on these like small tasks. Because it like, despite them being easy things to do, they still take a lot of my time to do them, which I don't know. If you think about a player who, because I work full time, like a 9 to 5 person who plays this game might only have a couple of hours in, and yeah, they might want to do these random tasks, but they also might want to do something with their friends. You know what I mean? And like that will drag them away from doing this, and then they end up not getting it done. I've missed so many Nightwave rewards. But then again, I'm not incentivized by Umbral Former. I don't use armor. I don't use health. I like power strength, but Umbral Intensify isn't all that interesting for me to need an Umbral Former for it.
Yeah, I've actually one of the builds I've seen that supposedly makes Protea like really fucking strong requires like all three Umbral mods, which I don't even know how the fuck someone's gonna do that.
I don't understand how that would even be even necessary when she's basically a walking shield generator and shield gating exists.
I thought that was what Hildryn was supposed to be.
Well, yeah. To be fair, to be honest with you, I'm quite surprised. To my knowledge, Hildryn doesn't give shields to other players, does she?
I honestly don't know either. I don't play Hildryn.
No, I don't either. But I know she's tanky as hell, which is great. But like, that would be like really, really good. Like, I don't think she does, but she should be the Warframe that gives everyone shields for sure.
Mag can't Mag do that already technically with an augment? For shield polarize, I forgot what it was called.
No.
Or was it by default? I don't know. I barely.
She can give herself shields. I don't know. She can give other people. She's basically has built-in brief respite, or augur passive. So like whenever Mag gets hit, like you'll see it in the video that I'm doing at the moment. Like you get hit down past shield gating, do a rolling guard roll, and then just press either crush or polarize. Basically, I get like 1,600 shields again. It's kind of nuts. Like on crush, just one cast of crush will get me like back up to like all that shield. It is really nuts.
I barely touch other Warframes to begin with. Like, if it isn't Vauban, Limbo, Oberon, Loki, and maybe Protea, I barely play it. So if you like asked me like, hey, does Hydroid strip armor? I wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Oh, I'm gonna hit you with the question I get asked with all the time. Actually, your top three. Your top three. Who are your top three? Obviously, no, your your baby, your first, your Papa Vauban.
Do you mean?
But what are you?
Do you mean top three besides that, or including that?
No, including your number one slot's Vauban, right? But
yeah,
who are your
obviously.
other two?
Two Limbo, like surprisingly Limbo, because I mean,
I could see that.
I
could see that for sure.
I like Limbo, I really do. I was like one of the few people who was unironically playing him when he came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's trash" or whatever. And he was actually the reason why I even started the fucking YouTube channel to begin with, because he was I was getting pissed off of how like everyone's shitting on him, like, "Oh, he's terrible." So I literally made a channel, made a video. Limbo was the subject of my first video, and he kind of holds like a special place in my inventory. So yeah, he's always been my number two. Number three, it would have to be a tie between Oberon and Harrow. Because Oberon I like just for Phoenix Renewal. I think it's one of the best augments in the game. And Harrow, I like the aesthetic of like a dark priest. So I just love,
have you heard my joke about Harrow? Harrow is the first time a priest has been a child's been inside a priest and not the other way around.
Oh god. Demonetized. No, I'm kidding. I don't monetize.
I was about to say it's.
I don't give a shit. I don't monetize anything.
I was going to ask you actually, is there a reason behind that, or is it just because you just don't give a shit?
That, and also since I also work full time, I don't really have a need to monetize. So every single
Yeah,
person who's like, fucking back me on Patreon or subscribe star, whatever the fuck. I don't really do that because I make enough from my job to not have to monetize my stuff. Not to mention,
it's kind of where I sit. It's kind of where I sit, but at the same time, ad revenue from YouTube and Twitch is basically nearly on par with my actual monthly salary now, which is kind of nice.
yeah.
So
Also,
nice to
besi-
have like double pay almost.
yeah. Also, besides that, fucking, I mostly just do videos for fun. So even if like, for whatever fucking reason, YouTube decides to like strike me twice and I get yeeted from the game entirely of Warframe and I have to make a new account, I
Mm.
wouldn't really give that much of a shit. I could just make a new account and just start over again, if anything.
Are
Besides,
you
besides,
aware of a content creator called Ludens, by the way?
I am, yes. What
A
about him?
good friend of mine. He's doing a case study on ambition of Warframe. I'll have to link
Ooh.
it to you when it comes out. He's calling it it's like a mini documentary called the Icarus Effect. Of how ambition is killing the game. I was going to talk about it like from my point of view in here, but I don't want to steal his thunder. I think it's something you'd find really interesting. He's a really cool guy to talk to. If you ever wanted him on here, you should probably do so because he's definitely got some different opinions to a lot of us, but like he sort of speaks the truth when you listen to him. But the ambition, I think, is what's killing this game a lot. Like, you know, overreaching and realizing that they can't achieve certain tasks. Like Railjack, the scope of what they wanted fundamentally just wasn't, for whatever reason, going to work. Whether it was
100%,
tech
yeah.
wise.
And also, I don't really, I don't really monetize my stuff anyway, because fucking, I understand everyone uses ad blockers nowadays. I do too. Fucking, uBlock Origin is like the godsend of the internet, and honestly, I don't really see much point in trying to have an ad anyway, because that shit's annoying. Plus the Raid Shadow Legends meme, yeah, no, I'm not really into that.
Oh man, I did one. I can't say anything.
Yeah, I know, you did one, Tactical Potato did one, fucking, oh man.
Nightmare Frame did one. But to be fair, I didn't just sign up to do it. They approached me with a lot of money, and at the time I just bought my rig, which is like an editing rig, 64 gig RAM, high end, 2080 Super graphics
Okay,
card.
how
You know, the
much,
whole works.
okay, I don't know if you're allowed to disclose, but how much did they give you?
Well over 2.5 grand.
Whoa. What were the requirements? Just fucking talk about the game for like 30 seconds?
They have like a little press pack. It's a PDF, and it's things that you should say. You need to talk about that, how it's cross-platform, and it's got now it's available on PC and stuff. But there are do's and don'ts. You're not supposed to use phrases that are commonly used. Surprisingly, you're not. I had to take out the most ambitious game of 2019. I had to take that out. They told me to take it out, which is kind of funny. I thought anyway. But I actually asked my community. I asked Discord. I went, guys, this is actually going to help me out a lot. Because I just bought my rig and I just got my branding back from Rotting Jackal. Actually, the graphic designer. He did iFlynn, quite a lot of other Warframe partners. Actually, can't remember the names of them, but still, he's a really good graphic designer. And I was like, this money could help me pay some of my rig off, and also get me foot in the door with Rotting Jackal to get some graphics done, to be able to then maybe start up a little bit of merch and stuff, like, or whatever I want for the channel to help it grow. What do you guys think? And they all prompted me to do it. Like, the thing that stopped me from wanting to do it initially, they wanted me to do it on when they approached me, was it has to be on X amount damage video, because they must look at my analytics and see that the ones that have like millions of damage have like hundreds of Ks of views in it, you know? So they were like, oh, it must be on one of these videos. And I was like, well, shit, my whole thing is that I have like an epic cinematic intro, and then I, go into the build, and that's my format. But
what you should have done
they
was
wanted
you should have had the epic cinematic intro and then just play the ad right after that.
Well, they wanted me to do it within the first 30 seconds. So like,
No, you should.
it wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna work. I ended up managing to do it on like a utility video where it was just me discussing different like utility weapons, and it kind of got away with it. It's fine. It's not a popular video because like literally 2 weeks after that video, they announced all the status rework, so it went out of the window. But I got paid for it. I don't think they'll come back to me though.
Mm. I almost wish they would approach me with that just so I can see how much they would offer me. Because 2.5
So
2.5k
are you
is
aware of
actually...
Social Blue Book?
I am not.
So let me quickly. Yeah, hang on, hold up. Can I screen share here? I can, can't I?
You just
no, I
DM it to
can't.
me on Discord. Because for 2.5k for what, 30 seconds? That's holy shit, dude.
So there's a site called Social Blue Book that I use because I get approached by like VPN companies and stuff that I've never heard of, or like random other companies. I've had like a lot of editing software, like alternatives to Photoshop and stuff, but like no one's ever heard of them, so I never take them up on it. There's a site called Social Blue Book which will take your analytics and run them through a database of what what you should be asking for as a price. To give you a good, because like if you're not used to being approached by companies like, hey, we're going to sponsor you, or how much, they never give you a price. They always go, how much what would your rate be for a shout out or a dedicated upload or whatever. And starting out, like you'd be like really daunted and not know what to do. This Social Blue Book site, like they do send emails to you, which is kind of annoying and like fluff stuff. But besides that, there's 3 options. There's like dedicated upload, shout out, and direct link or activity feed promotion for like, I suppose like if you're...
Quick question, real quick. Are you getting paid to say this, or are you just recommending it to me? Because I don't know if this is.
Oh,
no, I don't know.
it's
I don't
it's
know
the
this
most
is an
ambitious.
inception.
It's the most. It's completely free.
I was gonna say, the way you're wording it, it sounds like some Inception shit of, oh, we just talked about advertising, advertising me on my own fucking...
and just boom into a Raid Shadow Legends advert. Here I come, bang. No, my point was this will give you a drop down. It'll give you a drop down and tell you how much roughly you should be asking depending on your channel's analytics. So for a shout out, lowest I should be asking for, Blue Book says, is 1,165 for a shout out on a video. The highest I should be asking for, because for my reach, is 3.5 grand for a shout out. Like, and if a company came and asked me what because I don't take these up. If without this site on knowing these analytics, I would have probably gone for a shout out, like 100 quid, 200 quid. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like selling yourself short. So like if you ever do end up doing that, monetizing anything for a bit of extra cash, like online, because you are an influencer. You've got what is it, about 80k subscribers or something on YouTube. Never underestimate your influence. Like you certainly influenced the Warframe community.
Nah, it's more like just the developers and cow.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm pretty sure there are many blacksmiths that have made a lot of money making pitchforks for the crowd that you've stirred.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I've also heard the joke of how somewhere at DE they have a counter with a sign that says "Days since last Rahetalius video," and it's just a constant like 0.
I reckon the break room's just got a dartboard with your face on it.
Yeah. If anything, I'm actually kind of terrified because I mean, I really want to go to TennoCon, I really do, but at the same time, I'm kind of terrified because DE they know they know what my face looks like, right? Because when I was in Japan, they said they were going to Tokyo, the festival of Tokyo for whatever, and they were like, hey, if you're a partner and you're going, let us know, we can meet up and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I live in Japan, I can be there, that's fucking cool. They're like, cool, just like let us know like what days you're attending and what you look like, so then we can like hang out and stuff. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I sent in a picture of myself, and I was so ready to go. But what ended up happening is they changed deployment schedule. So I had to leave literally the day it was happening, so I had to say like, yeah, my bad. They changed shit last minute. I can't go anymore. So now they know what I look like. So if they ever see me in Canada, they can just like, I guess like order a hit squad, and I'll never be seen again.
It's just all I'm imagining is Scott with a like getting drunk, coming home and sitting in his garage throwing darts at you on a piece of paper.
I would
Maybe that's too
actually,
real. I don't know.
I would actually not be surprised if that was real. Although, at least just from how little I actually interact with DE, like just talking with like Taylor and Rebecca, they're nice, but they have to be professional. But I feel like
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like if I was like face to face with one of them, they would either like get like really nervous or just have a look of like, oh god, no.
I don't know. I think they joke with you. To be honest with you, I think they see the funny side in it. And to be honest with you, like I was going to say about influence when we're talking about it, and I don't mean you specifically, but anything that's really said by any of people that have like a good reach, you know, on their YouTube channels or Twitch or whatever it is, it does have a knock-on impact effect on the community, and things can get blown out of proportion. Like content droughts, when it's content creators just complaining because they can't make new shit because the whole format is only talking about what's new rather than what's pre-existing in the game. The reason like I don't cover like any of the content that's new. I don't cover Protea or anything. I cover stuff that I find interesting in game for veterans to have a mess about on, and my format doesn't really affected by the content droughts. But for someone who is covering stuff as it comes out, like, and then you start to complain about it to your audience then get riled up and start going, yeah, this content drought's even worse. I mean, it's been pretty bad in the past, like War Within, The Wait Within. Oh boy,
Yeah, I remember
that
that.
was a long one.
Shit.
But things were made a lot worse by like the influencers, like content creators and stuff. Like it can't the hype can go both ways, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's justified though. Yeah, I certainly had a big giggle with whatever the last big video you did. That was nuts. I can't remember what it was titled now. But
A criticism of digital extremes.
oh yeah, well, there's the thumbnail says "Stop killing your game." Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That was a fun to watch video. But yeah, that's gonna have some serious knock-on effect with the community. Well, it has done. People are just constantly blurting chat that you were right.
Yeah.
But
Then
the
I'm
issue is
pretty
they
sure
don't address it though, do they?
no,
That's the problem.
pretty sure
They don't address it.
the closest thing they did to that was like the next live stream they had right after that video was up, near the end, Megan said something along the lines of, and to those posting in chat spamming, we do see it and you are not helping, or something like that. It was something like really like oh god, she actually just
Yeah.
said that. And besides that, they also put my name and Rob's name in the chat filter for their Twitch channel.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any backlash from Rob himself on that, by the way?
Nah, he's blocked me on Twitter since like 2 years ago.
No.
Just because he does that to everyone he doesn't like literally. You say anything he doesn't like, he just blocks you.
I remember I went into his Twitch chat just to asking, I asked him a simple question about what do you think to scaling missions, not scaling missions, missions like level slider, so that you could start in order to avoid just being stuck in the sim all the time. I asked him a simple question, came into his stream, and he just went, if you wanted higher level enemies, just go into the simulacrum, which completely just divided my whole question. And he was like eating a tub of ice cream like for about like 30 minutes on stream, and I was just like, this sickens me. I'm leaving. And I've never really tuned in since, or heard anything about him until I watched your video, to be fair.
Join the club, man. Fucking it's actually kind of funny because the original like drama video I did on the chat moderators, so many fucking people, or mostly DE, they're mad at me for making it because it was like drama, quote unquote. Even though I literally said in like the first minute of the video I couldn't have done this without like all these people who helped me, because a lot of normally when I make something like that, I usually put in screenshots and stuff to like back up everything that I'm saying. But with that particular video, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't have personally. A lot of people gave that to me, so that was like a pretty big like co-op video kind of. So in the first video, I said this video literally would not exist without you guys. I'm not gonna name you, so you don't get like hate. So thank you. You know who you are.
Did you think it would have such an impact that it did?
Difficult question, honestly. I knew it would have an impact. I just wasn't sure how big.
Yeah.
The same thing for the other one that I made like a month or so ago. It's like just knowing by how long I take to work on a video, I can kind of gauge how much of an impact it's going to have, but I can never like accurately determine how, obviously, because I can't tell the future.
There's something else I had to ask you about the creative program as well. I take it you will be applying for it when it comes out, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Pretty sure like everyone who's a partner is reapplying for it.
Sure. Do you think you'll have any sort of favoritism, maybe already on a list?
I'm pretty sure that they can't have any favoritism like for or against people, because then I would just kill the entire point of the program. I remember they said that
well, I think it's mainly to address I think an issue you raised. I think that the partner program was never defined enough to what you are, and a partner suggests, like, you know, if you think about partner, to me, I think about a law firm. When you make partner, you're head of the company. Do you know what I mean? And we aren't represent. Well, I say we. I'm not a partner, never have been. But as in, you would be if you were a partner to a lot of people would naturally assume that you have this like red telephone that you pick up and can just speak to DE, like, you know what I mean? Like, and in some ways you had access to speak to the community team, but it's not like you have like a direct line to Steve and go, this is wrong in the game, like needs fixing, and they go, okay, thanks for letting us know. Like, it was never like that, or like you couldn't just go, this person needs banning or whatever. And I think partners suggest that you have a lot of power and connection with the developers directly. So I think changing it now to this creator program more clearly defines what it is, which is basically you are a creator, you make content about Warframe, and they're acknowledging that you do that, whereas a partner would suggest way more deeper implications and involvement, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they can't have any bias for or against people, because they kind of explicitly say that the new rules they make, they more outline what a creator is, what defines good behavior and stuff, proper reporting procedures, which was a complete nightmare for the partner program, because as we all know, fucking a lot of people and their mother reported Rob, but nothing came of it because reasons. And basically, the whole point of the creator program, as I see it, is to like put a hard reset on the partner program. And if they were to, like, let's say, reject me because they don't like me, that would completely shit on the point of the creator program, because they even say everyone is gonna get kicked out of the partner program. Everyone can reapply for it if they want to. We're gonna look at you based on the rules we have now instead of like past interactions. So
Have they put the prerequisites to being able to apply? Because what if it's like, yeah, sure, you make content, but it's negative content. Whether that if they deem that, if someone at DE deems it as negatively affecting the community and game, whether or not they would reject you on that basis. That's what I would be interested to know, if they're going to approach it that way.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
kind of a whole other can of worms, because a lot of people
look at Life of Rio, who basically just says, "I told you so." No endgame, and then makes a rant video.
Like, yeah, but to be fair, Life of Rio did say recently on one of his videos that he never really applied for the partner program. They just asked if he wanted to be in it, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Oh, really?
Yeah, and also right after that, he said that I mean, at least just kind of paraphrasing here, but according to him, he's not going to apply for the creator program because he doesn't really give a shit about Warframe anymore. But at the same time, he's
find that really interesting, you know, because basically every week maybe he will still make a video about Warframe. So a person that says he's not interested in Warframe, he creates a lot of content with the title Warframe.
Like, he still kind of has like a minor interest in it because obviously he's still talking about it. He just said that as like from a content creator standpoint, he's not really gonna focus on that anymore because he's more on streaming now.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure
sure.
he streams like a lot more of a Monster Hunter World and Mortal Kombat than Warframe. So
Still never played Monster Hunter. Like, I played it on PSP a long time ago.
I never have either, just because I'm obsessing over Final Fantasy all the goddamn time.
What server are you on, by the way, on Final Fantasy?
If I say it, everyone's gonna move over there, so I can't tell you.
Fair enough.